welcome to a new episode of Live Free Laugh Hard. I'm KT.
I'm Tom, now standing.
Yes, we're standing so we don't make noise in my creaky bar chairs.
Yeah, your bar chairs. And your bar.
My bar's great. You hear this? Booze. All booze.
Sounds like a ship sinking.
Like this podcast,
Like
probably.
this sinking podcast. It's been a minute.
It's been a while. We're going to do something different today and talk about an actual TV show and not an actual comedian itself. We're talking about a comedy show, which is sinking now, as we speak about sinking things.
It's been sinking for a hot minute.
Yeah, it has been. Saturday Night Live here in the U.S., if you're listening overseas, was a big deal here in the United States. Started in 1975. You had guys like Bill Murray. You had Gilda Radner, Chevy Chase, Stan Aykroyd. You had stars on the show when it first started. And then they had a downtime.
The first downturn was mid 80s, right? Before
The
Murphy.
first downturn was after that original cast left in the 80s, 1980.
In 1980.
80 was when they all left at the same time.
And then they had 2 bad years, right?
They had
Or was it 1 bad year and then Eddie Murphy came on?
was it 2 or 3 bad years than Murphy, because Murphy's only for 2 years. So I think it was 83 to 85. Murphy was there and then left.
Yeah, he got out real quick.
And then it went to shit again. and so the late 80s, and then it was good about the mid 90s when you got Mike Myers and Chris Farley and that was the Phil Hartman left, I think. And then it went to Will Ferrell. And
That's when it started to be it was so those years that you just mentioned are the ones that where people are like, oh yeah, it's good again, it's bad again. And it's across the board, everybody likes it or everyone dislikes it.
well, I think
The 90s after that, when it got to Will Ferrell, then I was like, do you love it, do you hate it?
No, I think people started hating it in the mid 90s because of Chris Farley and Adam Sandler. It was kind of, I think these were sophomore humor, which is fine, whatever. We don't need highbrow comedy at 11:30 at night on Saturday night.
We don't, right? But if you look kind of at, John Belushi, tell me that's not sophomore. I know it had a weird art turn there
Most
for a hot
of
minute.
those early years were all sophomore.
Yeah.
They were laughing. Cheeseburger, the plumber with the crack hanging out.
Samurai, what was it? Samurai something?
Yeah. Samurai dry cleaner or some shit
Some
like that.
shit
It was
like that, yeah.
So it was all sophomore. I feel like from the time Phil Hartman came in and Dana Carvey and Mike Myers, they had good years, and they pivoted into Farley, Sandler, Chris Rock was there early, and then went to Farrell. They had a good 10 years of okay, this is really good. Mm-hmm. Then went to shit when Will Ferrell left and all that group, Anna Gasteyer, they all left, and then Keenan's been there for 25 years apparently. I don't know when Kenan Thompson got there.
Keenan is he wants to do anything else at this point that he's doing Spotify ads. You probably heard him before this
podcast.
And they just it's not on Keenan, but he must be hurting for money because the last one I heard was just so bad. It was Auto Trader.
I mean, he had a TV show on NBC, which was not bad. It was a good TV show, but I feel like it didn't help him because he was traveling to LA to film it from Monday to Thursday, then go back to New York on Friday for Saturday Night Live, and then come back. So I feel like maybe he wasn't 100% all in because he was traveling like a fucking crazy person.
I mean, when you get your own TV show, maybe that's the time when you need to cut the apron strings with Saturday Night Live. I feel like that's what everybody else did. I know for Eddie Murphy it was movie deals, and I feel like it was the same for Mike Myers.
Yeah, I feel like you hit a wall. I think I actually just bumped into an interview with Jay Farrell today.
Okay.
And he asked Will Ferrell, when did you know it was time to leave?
After Cowbell.
And way after Cowbell. He was like, you just know. You just know, okay, it's time. And he said Ferrell did 8 years. Will Ferrell did 8 years. Jay Farrell did 6. Kate McKinnon did 10. So it's it depends. I feel plus they probably throw a lot of money at these guys to stay.
I feel like that's what they do because, especially with the likes of people who've been there a little bit too long, like Keenan. Mm-hmm. I even feel like
John Lovitz.
The
unfunniest member ever.
Will Ferrell was there a bit too long as well. Where it's you've had your 2 seasons of your kind of humor, where not that you wrote it or anything, but where it's just, all right, that's it. Now let's do the next thing, And it has a hard time doing the next thing. The last time I watched Saturday Night Live was when Michael B. Jordan. Mm-hmm. Did I watch that here with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
The State Farm guy.
The State Farm was really funny, right? Because those State Farm ads annoyed the shit out of me. But then they also had like, this is how you know like it's on hard times, is right. One, you have Michael B. Jordan, which is like he's a hot name right now. You got Creed 3 around the corner. Like, can't wait to see that movie. Let me be honest.
Still haven't seen the first two, but yeah.
You haven't seen the first two?
I have not. No.
Dude, they're way better. Like, let's not get into Creed right now. They're way better than a lot of people give it credit for. But Michael B. Jordan, big name actor, right? And then he's doing a skit, which is half of it is a skit. No, a quarter of it is a skit, and then 3/4 of it is just product placement for Street Fighter V. When they're doing the voiceovers for people getting hurt, and it's like, this isn't a skit. And in the background, you have Street Fighter V coming whenever.
See, here's the thing. I think I found it funny.
It was.
Just the absurdity of... Because, the voice of Street Fighter is just ridiculous. Like,
yeah, but it was clearly like, Capcom said, like, hey, we need to like promote it. Can we get a trailer spot? No, but you can get a skit. How about that for an extra $5.99?
$5.99
and a sexy dance from Lorne Michaels himself. So like it is. That's when you kind of know it's like a little bit on its knees. Mm-hmm. Kind of like when is SNL? If the next SNL cast isn't like great, and I mean like spellbinding, it's time for it just to go.
So I'm gonna ask you about SNL. From where you're from.
From where I'm from?
The Isle of Ireland?
Yeah, we have... So here's a weird thing, right?
Well, do you have any sketch comedy shows
We have a
lot.
We have a lot of them, right? Most of them came from, like, the BBC, where you have... There's BBC Gold, which is, like, kind of like the comedy BBC channel where they show things. So I'm going to just name a couple of things that are kind of like SNL, but when I say SNL, I mean, like, shows like SNL, but also, like, the Richard Pryor Show, and then take Mad TV as well, which I think...
It was better than SNL. I know we've had this conversation.
I really like.
We're going to get to that later because I think
there's something to be said about it.
I think they did something that SNL kind of stopped doing, but SNL had the name recognition, and Mad TV kind of got lost in the shuffle. But go ahead.
Yeah. So we had a really. I feel like this was a show that was way ahead of its time. It's called the Kenny Everett Show. Kenny Everett was I don't even think he was a comedian. I think he was a radio personality initially. And he was a gay man as well, but it was a sketch show, but fell into the fucking paradox that every British TV show falls into, where they repeat the same. If you've ever seen Little Britain, right, where it repeats the same kind of thing.
Benny Hill.
There's another idea one where it repeats that same thing over and over again, right? So he'd have a bunch of characters in like different situations, right? One of them was really funny. Now, but it's like if you watch it now, you're kind of like, wait, what? It was a character called Sid Snot. Sid Snot, yeah, right? But the whole point of it was that there was a punk movement going on in the 70s. So there was a lot of guys like this, like Sid Snot, who thought he was Sid Vicious, right? And, why did you walk here? Piston broke. Why didn't you take your bike? He's pissed and broke. A lot of them were like these kind of like quick humor things. But Kenny Everett himself, just his stage presence could carry a whole room, right? Now, I grew up watching Kenny Everett because my dad was a huge fan. But you also had people like Billy Connolly on it. Freddie Mercury made an appearance. Had a lot of like, musical numbers and a lot of like sketches with those big English names at the time. And not that I'm calling Billy Connolly English, actually.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that's not what. I'm right there with you, okay? But he was on it. He was on a bunch of sketches. I think he was on 2 or 3 times. There's a really famous one about. Like, a lot of these have aged out because of the mentality of the time. But one is, like, where Billy Connolly and Kenny Everett is, like, the hostess, or the host of a bar. And Billy Connolly comes in with this jacket on, like a trench coat, and it's completely hiding his face. And he's like, he's asking, like, who's there? He's like, is Knuckles McCarthy here? And, he goes, no. And he's like, eventually the names get like worse and worse, and it's like by the end of it, it's like, is cut your throat with a rusty razor, kill your entire family, and burn your house down O'Neill here? And he's like, no. And then he goes, all right, that's great, I'll have a Shirley Temple. So, right. So it was like that kind of thing, which is similar in nature to SNL. But one thing SNL kind of does a little bit, where it repeats the sketch. Like if I see that the Vietnam vet with the puppet one more time, I'm going to kill somebody.
Well, I think going back to the beginning of SNL, I think they found a few characters like Barbara Wawa, with Barbara Walters, and Samurai Guy, and Cheeseburger, and once they found the characters, the scheming toy company guy who I showed you that one sketch, he had like 3 more.
And a broken bag of glass.
It's broken bag of glass. Come on, the kids like glass. They found the characters, kind of repeated them. I feel like they did it a lot less back in like '77. Like, there's a lot more shit we can do than just these characters.
Yeah.
So like Belushi doing the bee wasn't every week. It was every few weeks. You would see him, oh, it's the bee, and then you don't see him again.
Yeah, you don't see him again
later that season.
I think that's what killed air shows, is that repetition of like, because you know what you're going to get from one season to another. It's going to be the same skits. So there was like Kenny Everett, and then Irish TV had a couple of things. Like there's the one I think of the most is Republic of Teddy, which kind of does a little bit. I feel like evolved a little bit beyond what SNL is. And I'm not saying that we're great or anything, but we have a really low budget. So essentially what it is the hosts of the show play themselves in skits of them trying to put the show together for that Saturday night.
So it's kind of like Larry Sanders Show.
Larry Sanders? Who the hell? Wait, what?
You know, I forget. You're not from here.
You on the Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Larry Sanders?
You said Larry Sanders.
Larry Sanders Show was a show on HBO back in like
sorry, I thought you
late 80s, early 90s. Gary Shandling was the star of the show. It was like he was a talk show host, and would follow him putting together a show.
Oh, okay.
And he had the stars who oh, tonight's guest is so and so, and you have the guest talking to Gary Shandling as a character. So like it was behind the scenes look at putting a talk show together with like his producers and director and stuff like that. So it's kind of similar to that.
It's kind of similar, but this is like very like they have like one of my favorite skits is they have RoboGarda, which is like in Ireland.
This already sounds ridiculous. Go ahead.
We don't have police. We have Garda on Síochána, which just Guard. We call them guards, right? But they took the idea of RoboCop and made him Irish. And what would that look like? And you just have a very annoying, power trippy robot, you know, saying it's a tarantula dick, and he's like in the car, Google searching a recipe for a goulash and shit like that, and just genuinely being a pest to other people. If you're on YouTube, Google RoboGarda.
Look it up.
Look it up, because it is. I'm not doing it justice. Like it is funny, but like also time and place. I'm trying to think of other ones that are like that are because there is. Oh no, this was my favorite one. So there's a band called Codaline, which are very popular among, 16 to 24-year-old girls. And if you're, men as well, like, but they're just not that good of a band, really. But they had them come out and play a song, and they had a reoccurring character. And I can't remember the name of the character, but essentially he was this old Irish dude that would come out with a tin whistle, start playing the stupidest song, and it's 13 verses long, right? So it's like about a woman who dildoed and diddled along, right? So the band start playing, and then they cut their mics, and this guy comes out and starts singing the song. I gotta sing you a song 13 verses long about a woman who dildoed and diddled along. And it's just like cut them out. You can see the band looking at each other that they're not in the know. That this is a skit, and you can see the lead singer seething. Like he is so mad about this. There's clever shit like that expanded outward from what Saturday Night Live is to you guys over here, and I suppose like a lot of those English TV shows as well, to like do something different. And I think in that aspect of it, of like cutting the band off, and of it being the characters playing themselves, trying to put this shitty show together, like.
But I think that was the purpose of SNL in the first place, like a late night show, a comedy show at 11:30 at night, which never been done obviously in '75, whatever. Do something different, be counterculture, because that's, back then you could say whatever the hell you want, right? Drugs was big. Talk about drugs. I felt like the spirit of what SNL was back then,
been lost.
Kind of prevailed throughout until we hit like
1990.
I say late 90s.
Really?
I say we got to late 90s, and I think it became more.
It never feels
more commercial, more like, okay, we got the standards now. Standards of practices. We can't say this. We can't do this. We can't do that. Now, so obviously, you have some limitation. Like you can do Dick in a Box. That's fine.
To Dick in a Box.
But I feel like there's still like, well, we can't do that.
Wait, was Dick in a Box wasn't Saturday Night Live, was it?
It was.
Really?
Digital sketch, yeah.
I thought it was
Andy Samberg and Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, I thought that was Lonely Island though.
Well, that's where it started. They were all writers. Like Sandberg was on the show, but then Lonely Island's other writers on the show.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They know that, see? Learn something new. So we had the first couple of years of SNL. Great. And then everyone left. Belushi left. Aykroyd left.
Belushi
Chevy Chase
died.
left. Well, Chevy Chase left really early because people hated him. He was a dick. Still a dick.
And people still hate him.
Yeah. Radner left.
Fletch lives.
Jane Curtin left. Like, the whole cast essentially left. Garrett Morris, who didn't do a whole bunch, the lone black person in the show, he left, obviously. And then 80 sucked. And then he brought in Belushi's brother, Jim.
Jim Belushi.
Who's
I like
not
Jim.
funny. No,
I
shut
like
the fuck
Jim.
up. No.
You've obviously never seen.
No.
You've never seen the movie K9, have you? Or is it K19? No, it's K9.
I have seen K9. And go fuck yourself. No.
Jerry Lee is the greatest dog actor that has ever existed, right?
Oh my god, no.
I like Jim.
No. According to Jim? According to Jim, great TV show, huh?
Oh, that was bad.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. I was going to say, oh, that was great. And I was going to kick you out of my house.
I mean, I leave willingly.
Will you? Yeah, you will.
Wait, I understand that, but in comparison to John Belushi, like, yeah, he's not the same actor. Like, he's not the same guy.
I think they brought Belushi in to say, okay, well, his brother was good. He's got to be good, too.
So nepotism, right?
And it didn't work well. And Belushi, even said in interviews, he's like, I felt the pressure. He's like, I felt like they wanted me to be John.
Yeah, and you're just
I'm not John.
It's not fair to do to somebody. at
No.
all.
And it sucked for him. It sucked even more because he was not funny.
Wow, you really don't like him.
No, he years ago they would show the old episodes of SNL. They still show them on Saturday nights at like 10 o'clock on NBC. It's weird, but you will see them usually after the newer ones. You see the old one, and you saw the Belushi episodes, and you saw like that season. And you watch it, you're like,
This sucks.
this is not funny, because you come from this era. And obviously, I wasn't born yet, but you go back and watch Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Gilda Radner. Jane Curtin with the Weekend Update. It was so good. And it flowed. It seemed like a lot of shit wasn't even written. It seemed like they just did shit on their own. And then you go to 80, Lorne Michaels left the show in 80.
Wait, Lauren Michaels?
After the first cast left, he left.
Isn't that his show?
Yeah, he started it.
How can he possibly leave?
Because he, at the time, was really smart and said, I can't do no better than this. And left.
And he was
that's
right.
the way they went to shit.
He never did.
So, this woman came in, ran into the ground, and then Dick Ebersol, who ran NBC, originally did a lot of sports on NBC, ran it, and that's how you got Eddie Murphy. He found Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo, and that was the glory years for 2 years.
He found Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, Ebersol's the one who hired Eddie Murphy, not Lorne Michaels.
So I know I really touched on another comedian, right? But Eddie Murphy did the Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Jersey comedy circuit from a young age.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine. What age was he when he started SNL?
I want to say he was like 20, maybe a little old, maybe a little older, but not that much.
Wasn't Raw? He was like what, 22 or something?
Yeah.
He was insanely young to have that kind of success.
What
age is Kevin Hart when he finally
when he broke 30? He was 10.
Older. I think he was older.
Well, and that's the thing too, because I feel like they went and got guys from like Second City, which is like the Improv in Chicago, Toronto, and then they got Eddie Murphy, who was a comedian, which they never do. They still really don't do comedians. They do it on occasion,
Normally it's the other way around.
and it doesn't work out
It
very
doesn't
well.
work. Yeah.
But Murphy worked because he had a lot of different characters. We saw him as Delirious and Raw.
Oh, yeah, he
Even
had
those his characters.
But because he had been perfecting that school, right? If you, and it's even in I'm not sure if it was in an interview or one of the stand-up where he said he used to get up in front of the class and do, it's not Mudbone. What was it called? I get Mudbone mixed up with that other stereotype of a Southern black person that Richard Pryor does.
We're all the same, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Happy Black History Month. Yeah. But yeah, it's he had all these characters, but he just wanted to be Richard Pryor, and then ended up on SNL, which
Richard Pryor was on for a season.
he was on SNL for a season.
Yeah, the sketch with him and Chevy Chase
This confuses.
This
is annoying because I get confused between the Richard Pryor show and then him being on SNL, and I can't remember which sketch was on which. Mm-hmm. So the one with him and Chevy Chase when he drops the N-bomb to him.
Yeah.
That I repeated to you one day.
Yes.
By accident. That was my.
And in my head, I'm like, that's funny.
It was definitely worth it. So I think that would never happen on SNL now.
No.
And
Sam Jackson dropped the F-bomb by accident because Keenan didn't stop him quick enough. Because that was part of the line. Keenan was to stop him from finishing the line.
Right, he didn't stop him.
He didn't stop him, and he said it, and he's like, and Keenan's like, ooh, can't say that.
Wait, you can't say the F-bomb? What kind of F-bomb? Was it the one?
Okay, what F-bomb is there?
There's two. There's the F-U-C-K one, the fuck one, and there's the one that correlates to two homosexual males.
That's 3 letters.
Wait, what?
That's 3 letters.
It has 3 letters?
Yeah, well, 4 is plural. But
Is it fat?
No. The big one, the F-U-C-K word.
He said fuck?
Yes.
Oh.
Live on air. Live on TV.
I thought he said the bad.
When do you ever say that word?
I don't know. When you said
Jesus
the
Christ.
F-bomb, I feel like fuck isn't that much of an F-bomb. I just dropped it twice. On carpet bombing.
Yeah, and we're not on live TV and national television.
That's why I'll never be on live TV. I swear like a sailor. And I don't even know
You
I'm
should
doing
barely
it.
be on a podcast right now.
I shouldn't be on a podcast. The job that I have, like I've said way too many horrible things to...
But luckily we're here. That's cool. One thing Eddie Murphy didn't do was say an F word. However, he left, and fuck was the word because Lorne Michaels came back, and the show went to shit again because he hired Robert Downey Jr., a young Robert Downey Jr.,
What year?
85.
I remember him...
Who was the nerd from Breakfast Club? What was his name?
Bender?
No, Bender was the cool one. That was,
No, he was the alternative one. And then,
Yeah, the nerdy
Shaky was the cool one.
who was the kid?
Oh, wait, was that Shaky? That's not Michael J. Fox. It's
No,
the other guy.
Shaky. Jesus Christ.
The good Sheen brother. That's not a Sheen brother. Emilio Estevez.
No, he wasn't on SNL.
No, not an SNL. You were talking about the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, not him. He was the jock.
He was the jock.
He was the jock.
Yeah.
And then Judd Nelson was Bender.
Judd Nelson.
And the other dude was the nerdy guy.
And then did the same cast.
Anthony Michael Hall.
Did the same cast in St. Elmo's Fire, which is a similar movie.
Yeah.
But everyone just swapped. Everyone just swapped who they are.
Yeah. So he was hired too. And that season ended with the cast in a fire.
Wow.
And Lorne Michaels went into the room and he pulled out one cast member to save from fire.
So they were firing
He
everyone.
pulled out John Lovitz.
Why?
And John Lovitz was on the next season. And everyone else died in that fire. And the whole next season, whole new cast, including John Lovitz.
So
That's how bad the season was. He literally killed off the entire cast, except for one guy.
right. So let me just.
Exactly.
This is almost going into like WWE, WWF standards of like ridiculous rating. But do you have an answer to say? Like, let's just say they sat the two of us in a room, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they looked at us and they said, "We're not going to pick the white guy, so we're going to pick you. You're the man right now. I want you to fix Saturday Night Live for the next season. What are you going to do? What would your answer be?"
For the next season?
So we say it's the next season of Saturday Night Live. He said, "I want to reinvigorate Saturday Night Live."
Reimagine it.
Well, I want people
I fucking hate that phrase.
reimagine.
I'm going to reimagine it. Oh, fuck.
We want to remaster Saturday Night. He wants you to fix Saturday Night Live, and he says, "You, KT, you're the man. What's your answer? And if you don't give me the right answer to absolutely fix this, we're going to kill everyone that you know." I'm not saying that Lorne Michaels actually does that. I'm sure he does.
I mean, I feel like you would have to... First of all, your guests have to be better. I feel like...
the guests, people that come on.
Yeah, the guests have to be better. 'Cause I feel like sometimes you get guests who are just like, oh, that's the hot name. You got to get them on.
Oh, it's always been that
And it's
way.
like, yeah.
It's like, do you have a... Sorry, I'm going to
Yeah,
go away, but like, do you have a favorite Saturday Night Live guest?
Sound like guest?
Yeah, the guest. Like, who was like really good?
Honestly, Walken still gets me.
Christopher Walken.
Walken's
That
amazing.
was funny.
Baldwin always had really good sketches when he was on. More so in the 90s than like
But
now.
he's kind of like...
Not Trump Baldwin. Like,
Yeah.
Like Canteen Boy Baldwin. when
Yeah.
He kind of like sexually assaulted Canteen Boy. That was hilarious. That was funny.
Sexual assault, that's so funny.
Yeah,
Now he's a
but-
murderer, that's not funny.
Allegedly. I feel like those two. I feel like Goodman was good in the 90s too, because Goodman hosted like 6 times in like 4 years. It was weird. He just always popped on all the time.
Honestly, the one that surprised me the most with how funny he was Mel Gibson.
Seems to go, oh no.
Oh, it's David. That's your answer. That's your answer. That's how we get fucking Saturday Night Live back. Steven Seagal does a whole
We gotta let
season
Steven Seagal host.
for the whole season.
That would not be good at all.
But I guarantee you,
You say for the whole season? I
for
forgot
the
that.
whole season,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
people would watch the same way they watch Game of Thrones. Like, who's going to die this time? What is Steven going to say this time? What crazy? Who has he got locked in his basement now? Steven Seagal had, just an addendum to that, allegedly had like 2 women imprisoned in his, was it Austin? Is that where he had his like compound?
Austin, Texas?
Was it Austin? It was,
I have no idea. He had a compound?
he had a compound and he had like 2 immigrant women that he had kept down there. and there was a lawsuit, but then they settled outside of court. But they were like traps.
And then when they escaped, did he run after them?
With his floppy arm. Could you imagine turning a corner and seeing that in real life? Steven Seagal doing this big floppy run down a street after two semi-naked Russian immigrants.
Oh my god.
Steven, if you're listening to this, you're more than welcome to talk to me, clarify any of that. Alright, if you don't want to do that, you can fight me. That's no problem too. You can happily... I get him to film it.
You can happily fight him with a southern accent.
Wait, he had a southern accent?
Yeah, he's like he's like a volunteer deputy sheriff in Louisiana. Yeah. So he's like talks with a southern twang.
That's what he's currently doing.
I think years ago, yes, there was a TV show.
I remember. Yeah.
I'm not sure if he still is. I think I think he lives in like Russia somewhere now.
It was in the era of JCVD.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh!
Jesus.
Remember that when Jean-Claude Van Damme would disappear off the camera for like 10 minutes and come back completely coked out of his mind? But he wasn't doing cocaine. Like,
and start dancing.
I remember he popped an erection that time when he was on a dance show. He got hard on that lady.
Yes.
That was so funny.
Oh my god.
That's like the most embarrassing.
So my first two verdicts would be not to have Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme host Saturday Night Live. They're off. Okay. Get better guest host. And honestly, you got to go back to like the improv scene. I feel like they've kind of not gone to Second City and like Upright Citizens Brigade and like really went after like we need good improv comedians who can come in and just do characters and just do like that's what Chris Farley was. That's what Belushi was. That's what Farrell was. They got to kind of get back to like what made them good, and that was just good improv people who can just do shit. And they haven't done that. And they're getting younger, which I think is the problem too. The cast is getting younger, so you're not getting a cast with a lot of experience who can kind of roll with it and like, hey, this sketch, can we change something? Because if you're young, like this fucking young piece of shit, who cares?
Yeah, no.
If you're a little older experience, you can go to the writers and go, here's the script, can we fix this a little bit and tweak it? And they might.
You could be like Sean Connery and just demand things, and then people just do it and never question it.
You're telling me Will Ferrell to go to the writers like, guys, come on. Like, can we change something? And they're like, yeah, let's look at it. If you do it the right way, obviously. Don't be a dick about it.
I don't know if I'd listen to Will Ferrell because I'd want to listen to someone actually funny.
Just Christ, not my wife.
He's not funny.
The other thing we'll talk Weekend Update. You watched that obviously with the news segment where they talk about the news. And,
where Keenan's on all the time now.
Not just him. They're evolving characters.
That used to have a revolve, but I feel like every time I watch it, it's always Keenan.
Like it was always Stefan. It was always Bill Hader. Stefan.
I fucking hate Bill Hader too.
But they had like Dennis Miller the first big one I noticed when I was growing up. He did Weekend Update, and then you had Kevin Nealon, who wasn't that great. Norm Macdonald did it. And he had to get fired because of Weekend Update from SNL.
Every time I hear the name Norm Macdonald, I see his face, and his face just cracks me up. Do you know when he's like, he can't keep the laughing anymore, and it just starts to crack out the side of his mouth, and then it's just all over his face. Fantastic.
We heard a story why he got fired from SNL. Because of all OJ jokes, because he was on during the OJ trial.
That would exactly.
And essentially, he would call OJ a murderer every single week. And it turned out that the head of the network was good friends with OJ Simpson. And OJ actually called out, "Hey, he's got to stop making jokes about me." And he ended up getting fired for.
You might have been working at Sirius at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when Opie Anstey kept on calling OJ every day?
Yes.
And sometimes he'd answer the phone.
I was always afraid of bombs going off in that building.
That's not the reason that bombs go off in that building. Like, it wasn't OJ. It was like there was like so much more shit that they were doing. Mm-hmm. Like when they used to say things about our friends in the Middle East.
Yeah.
You know,
that was when bombs would probably go off.
Yeah, and then there was that was around the time when the animator got shot. I'm not going to repeat that.
You're really way off.
Yeah, massively off.
The Weekend Update at Norm Macdonald, Colin Quinn did it.
Oh, Colin Quinn was on it?
Wasn't great.
Colin Quinn.
That's like that's not his setting.
Listen,
sitting behind a desk reading news.
That's not Colin Quinn. Then again, TV isn't Colin Quinn.
No. And then he had. What's your feelings on Jimmy Fallon?
Jimmy's very plastic. Would you say a legend?
I would say legend. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the biggest. You know, I'm not the biggest SNL fan out there. Because I feel like there's funnier, easier. Like I don't have to wait a week to see it. Or like wade through a bunch of sketches. Jimmy Fallon is, I'll be honest, he just doesn't do it for me. I can't give any other explanation other than that. And I just hate his sentimentality as well.
Jesus Christ.
Did you hear him talking about what's that chick that's in she's in some new movie, Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke have this baby. She's in Stranger Things.
I have no idea.
I can't remember her name. But he was saying about how he held her when she was a baby because he was at their house. I thought there was a fucking punchline to this, and there wasn't. Like, how horrible is that? Like, you're on a talk show, and now I have to be like, oh, Jimmy held a baby. Who fucking cares?
You're really angry.
Everyone has been saying that to me lately. Like, you're so angry. I'm not angry. I'm just, like, passionate about disliking things.
Well, I think we can update. I think that's where the Daily Show came from, and like shows like that, because
the Daily Show is definitely just that.
Yeah.
Of SNL,
which is I mean was good. Daily Show kind of.
Who's the new host?
They don't have one. They're revolving until they figure out what the hell.
I thought they were doing Shane Gillis.
That's just for like a week.
Oh.
They're doing like Chelsea Handler for a week. They did.
Chelsea. Isn't she a little bit incendiary?
Yeah, a little bit. They did Roy. Who's that?
Roy
Wood. They're doing him for a week.
It's Roy Wood Jr., right?
Yeah, they're doing everybody for a week. And then eventually, whenever, they'll figure out who's going to be new host of the Daily Show.
I feel like it shouldn't have been like they should have just picked somebody. It shouldn't be that difficult.
Well, I feel like Trevor Noah kind of left him in a weird spot because he kind of just like, I'm out, I'm done.
Right,
like,
but
wait, what?
Trevor Noah was a very high watermark. It's very hard to get.
Well, I feel like after Stewart left, the first 6 to 8 months of Daily Show after Jon Stewart left was rough. Because it was like he seemed trying to figure it out, and he was trying to be Jon Stewart, but he wasn't Jon Stewart.
I love Trevor Noah. I love what he did with it.
Yeah,
and I think
the COVID episodes from his house, I think that's when he kind of figured out, okay, this is what I can do.
I feel like he figured it out a little bit before that.
You think so?
I really do, because I feel like he hit his stride at a certain point, and he was kind of enough of the news person, enough of like a speaker for the left almost.
Yeah,
and then
like Jon Stewart, like
Jon Stewart.
You kind of
John was angry though.
Yeah,
John was an angry, myself, an angry white guy.
Like you.
But Trevor Noah was like, he's South African, he's an immigrant, he's just has a different approach to all of these concerns, and because he's like not American, he can kind of see it the same way I see it. I just get angry about it, but like he sees it as just kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Trump thing at the time was boiling my blood, but he was just constantly poking at it. So he got that aspect of it like really well.
Best season of SNL, in my opinion.
Oh man,
season 10.
Can you remind me what's in season 10?
Season 10 had Billy Crystal, Martin Short, Christopher Guest. One season, that's it.
Oh, okay.
So they had the superstars for one season, and they all agreed to do one season. Said we're going to do one, and that's it, no more.
They all got
and it was magical because they just did, Billy Crystal said we did sketches that we really didn't care if the audience found it funny. We found it funny, so we did it anyway. And they were fucking great. They were fucking really good. Which is great because we talk about how long people stay at SNL and they might overstay. Yeah. Kind of like how British shows end right at the right time. Like they don't.
2 seasons, done.
Yeah. 2 seasons, 8 episodes each, we're out.
Yeah.
They said we're doing 1 season. And Martin Short said, like, the goal's 1. I didn't want to do this for 8 years, 9 years. It's like, 1 season with my friends, let's do it. And it was just really those 3. They had, like, featured people, but it was just those 3 in every sketch. And that was probably the best season. That was 84. And that was it. And then I think they had a bad season after that. That's when they brought on the young kids, like Robert Downey Jr., a young Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh!
She was on.
What was her name in Seinfeld again?
Elaine.
And she's the only person ever known to swear at a Muppet.
Yeah.
She said, fuck. No, she said, oh shit to Elmo.
Oh, Elmo.
Yeah, poor Elmo was like,
you can't say that! And she choked him out. Come here, little fucker!
She just like, got him in a headlock, ripped his arm out.
So 85 was a shitty season. 86 is when they brought in Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman. That was around that time.
That was
John
80.
Lovett stayed. Yeah. So that's when they kind of started getting back. And then after that was whatever. We mentioned Mad TV.
All right.
Mad TV came out in the 90s, right? Mm-hmm. Has direct competition. They started at 11. SNL 11:30. Mad TV went from 11 to 12. Obviously, Saturday Night Live goes from 11:32, whatever, to like 102. What were your thoughts on Mad TV compared to SNL?
I honestly love the skits far more of Mad TV than I do of SNL because I feel like there's bigger names on SNL. Well, obviously there's bigger names on SNL, but they're trying to reach a wider audience. Mad TV just kind of like one.
Niche. What? It was niche. It was niche as hell.
It was niche as fuck. The 2 that stick out to me, like Steven Seagal walks. This guy comes up a lot on our podcast, but like Steven Seagal walks the earth.
Will Sasso, Steven Seagal.
Yeah,
as Kenny Rogers.
As Kenny Rogers. Or as probably the most well put together, well acted and like just the exact right amount of time is the syndication of The Sopranos.
Yeah.
That is the funniest fucking.
The 45-second episode.
Oh my god, it's so funny because they cut every time. So if you haven't seen it, you can just look it up. If you have no interest in it, let me just like try and break it down. So in syndication, you can't swear, you can't show violence, you can't do any of the fun stuff.
Which is pretty much the entire episode of Sopranos.
Like you might get the opening titles, maybe, and even at that, like as soon as it gets to the word gun, they're going to cut.
What's the gabagool?
I think they have a lot. It's essentially the first episode, but they just like cut out all the bits with anything interesting, and it's just him talking about gabagool, and then they do this really quick cut every time he's about to swear. And they cut down the episode to, like, nothing.
A 55-minute episode is cut to 45 seconds.
I watched it 7 times about 2 weeks ago. Like, 7, like, I watched it, and then I watched it again.
But even that, I feel like that was, like, season 3, season 4. Early seasons were, like, when Artie Lang was on.
Yeah.
Artie Volkswagen.
I forgot about
and he would play like an angry black mom. I'm like, what is happening? What are we doing?
Bobby Lee.
Bobby Lee's way later. Bobby Lee, Jordan Peele, they were all late.
Shit, Jordan Peele was there.
Yeah.
But Phil Lamar, he was really early. Post getting shot.
What was his name? He was in Evolution with David Duchovny. Orlando Jones. He was there early. So, like, you had a cast of people who no one really knew. I didn't know anybody.
I didn't either. And, like, no... It seems like poor Phil Lamar has to like just live in obscurity for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
He just never gets out there. But even in Ireland, and I remember going to every time you were in a movie theater in Ireland, right? Somewhere, like when I was like somewhere between 12 and 16, those couple of years, every time I was at a movie theater, you just hear from way in the distance, it's like, "Girl, back of your head is ridiculous," from that sketch, right? It doesn't even air in Ireland. But everybody knows that sketch.
You mentioned it before, too. They didn't get big stars.
No,
right?
they didn't get...
All the big stars was SNL because it's NBC. Yeah. It's a name. Mad TV didn't get guest... I think they got a few guest hosts, but even the guest hosts were, like, kind of B-movie.
Yeah.
And like, okay,
who gives a shit?
You're kind of cool, but you're not really... You're not, like... I think... You want Drew Barrymore big. Like,
I think that's what, like, kind of saves both the honor and humility of Mad TV... And also why it's so funny is because you're not expecting much when you go in. And it ends up being... It's like if you watch the Steven Seagal one, right? You're expecting like some fat guy to do Steven Seagal, a bad Steven Seagal impression and they move on. You have no idea the level of depravity it actually gets into when he's in that restaurant and breaking the guy's arm and he's throwing a bowl of soup over their head. Like it just goes on and on and on. And every time you think this is the peak of where it's going to be funny, it tops it again, and it tops it again. And I think that's what's because it's so disarming. Why with Saturday Night Live, if you see you have like who was around at that time?
Like when Mad TV started,
Mad TV.
that was like the beginning of Will Ferrell.
Right, so you have Will Ferrell,
Sherry O'Terry.
You already know you see Will Ferrell, you know what kind of humor it's going to be anyway. And you kind of know, like the cowbell, right? Yeah. Take the cowbell, right? So that cowbell sketch, again, if you haven't seen it, where you've been. It's a really good sketch. But it's the Don't Fear the Reaper song by Blue Oyster Cult. And we're in the recording studio, and he's, like, hammering the bell. And the guy on the rhythm guitar is like, can you, like, lay off the cowbell? And Christopher Walken plays the producer, and he gets in, he's like, guys, I'm missing it. What's happening? We need something. And he's like, cowbell. We need more cowbell, right? So he's like, walloping the cowbell. That's the peak.
I had that T-shirt, by the way.
The cowbell.
They need more cowbell.
More cowbell. That's the peak of that joke, right? And then it goes downward from there. So, because he gets Christopher Walken wants more cowbell. He gets really into it, so it gets higher and higher, and then Walken's like, I need more, and then the guy's like, we really don't want that much cowbell, and then Ferrell gets in the guy's face with the cowbells, hitting it. Yeah.
So it's like it goes up and down. It was high.
Right, but the whole point of this is, right, rather than you just tear my point apart.
I am.
Right, so those cowbell bits are like, that's the butt of the joke is the cowbell, right? And again, like a lot of thought went into it.
But it was also a vehicle for Walken, because Walken's a guest host. Walken has to have a big role. Mad TV, they didn't have that. So it was like the cast was literally the stars of the show.
Right, so the cast are constantly the stars. It's their writing. They don't need to write in a part for Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
Right? Also, I feel like the skits are longer on Mad TV than what they are on SNL compared to like.
Well, I feel like too they didn't have a lot of musical guests on Mad TV.
They didn't
have Weekend Update. They didn't have a lot of stuff kind of squeak because you need 2 musical performances SNL.
Yeah.
you need at least 9 minutes for a Weekend Update. So sketches have to be
Quick.
4 or 5 minutes,
Yeah.
maybe 6. Mad TV, we got an hour. We don't have the music guests. It's just you guys. So
And that,
you all get 10 minutes each. Just go.
but that gave way for the saga of the Steven Seagal trilogy that became a saga of him and Jean-Claude Van Damme and the Terminator and that big long sketch that just kept on going. And the best thing about it is it got better. It's not one of those things that like, just stop it now. It got better. The back of your head is ridiculous. That kind of thing, where it is off the wall kind of writing for its time and also in comparison to like
But
the Cowbell time.
wasn't safe.
It was
That
not
was the key.
It was not radio
I feel like
friendly.
Mad TV, and I think that was Fox back in like Fox still had that dangerous because they weren't a legacy network. It wasn't ABC, NBC, CBS. Fox was like that fourth semi-new, they're only less than a decade old in like 96, 97.
Really?
So they were still trying to be dangerous. They're still trying to do shit that the other big three
Didn't
weren't allowed.
TNT and Fox did they not share syndication at one point?
No.
No?
Well, TNT, that's Turner, that's cable.
That's cable.
So TNT, TBS, those are all national superstations. So they went across the country, but it wasn't network. It was
Okay.
all based on cable or over the air antennas, shit like that, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
But Fox was still trying to do. They wanted to do what SNL did, but they're like, we're Fox. We have Married with Children. We got The Simpsons. We got some crazy shit. Let's do some crazy shit on Saturday night and go straight at them. And they did for a minute.
So wait, what? Who owns The Simpsons now?
It's still on Fox.
I know they're still on Fox, but do they still own it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still Fox show. I mean, show on FX, and like I know, like they've probably syndicated it out. So I think places pay for it. They have to pay to get The Simpsons like free form, which I think is that Fox.
I don't know. Like that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, I don't.
Because it's not.
I think Fox still owns it. But
it's
I
on
think,
Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Didn't they,
No.
Didn't
Yeah,
they,
it is.
Didn't they buy
It
Fox
is.
properties?
Yeah. Yeah. Fox did. No, wait.
Does that mean? Hang on a second.
Disney brought Fox.
Wait.
No, Disney brought Fox,
Okay.
and then they had to sell off a bunch of Fox stuff for the deal to go through. So Disney owns a lot of Fox
So
properties.
wait, are you trying to tell me that Ellen Ripley is now a Disney princess?
Yes.
Wow. That's shocking.
I think about that because my baseball job, I worked for Disney, kinda, because we were owned by Fox, and then we got bought out by Disney. So
I just hear this doorbell coming, ringing behind me, and Mickey Mouse is out there with a fucking baseball bat, ready to bust your kneecaps.
for you more so than
Yeah,
me.
for me.
You're the bad influence.
I'm the bad influence.
I'm the good employee.
You're a good employee.
I wear Mickey ears. That's it.
Mickey ears.
So
So the network of Fox still wanted to be dangerous at that point.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so hard to think about when you think about Fox now versus Fox then. This was another point that I wanted to make. Like now versus then is I'm trying to think of the best way to put this where it makes the most sense in my head. But like, and it's not even like the social aspect of it, because we watched that Mike Myers sketch the other day about the Japanese with Chris Farley.
yeah, the game show.
And I was like, whoa, you would not get away with this today, man. But it's like, there's a lot of things that I feel like people wouldn't get. Like even, actually, no, you're a perfect example. The Simpsons. That was a megalodon of a show.
I couldn't watch it when I was growing up.
Wait, what?
I couldn't watch The Simpsons growing up.
What?
It was bad.
What was it about?
My parents thought it was a bad show.
Oh, yeah.
So I couldn't watch it. I'm like,
Same.
what?
Same. I watched
Really?
it. Scooby-Doo, Buffy the Vampire.
Scooby.
Right.
I get Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Sam
The
Michelle Gellar
Simpsons.
showed a lot of cleavage every week.
The Simpsons. There was a couple of shows I wasn't allowed to watch TNT past 9 o'clock or MTV early in the morning. Yeah, that was a whole different thing. But like when you think about the Simpsons, that was a megalodon at the time. How big of a show that was. Today, a lot of kids are going to be like, "What?"
Yeah, I mean, I watch
They're not
Simpsons.
gonna get it.
I watch Simpsons now, and I'm like, the catering.
They are kind of catered. But like, it's like, do you feel like maybe there's no not redeeming, there's no bringing SNL back to what it was because things are just so different now?
I think it depends on what they're talking about. So like their political shit is still good,
Oh yeah, the Trump thing was
right?
amazing.
The new Trump guy, amazing. Sounds just like Trump. Their political stuff works.
But
I feel
don't-
like everything else doesn't. I feel like I don't know who's writing the show now. I feel like that's my next question. Would you ever write for a show like SNL? Because I feel like
oh man, no, because
back in the day, there's like a whole documentary about SNL and like those early years. They said you had writers, but you had the actors the writing. You had
Yeah.
Belushi, Belushi and Aykroyd just do lines of blow and just write these crazy sketches. Like, yeah, let's put it on. Fuck it, let's go.
I mean,
and they'll put it on. And now there's no way you can get away with half the shit they put on these coked out binges that turn out to be really fucking funny.
If me and you were to sit in this basement for a week, and I'm not saying this to blow up our spot, right? I feel like we come up with something just as good or almost as good as what currently is on it.
Yeah.
Because it's that level of, like, you know, as we said, sophomoric. We were sophomoric humor all the time. It's like, would I write for SNL now? I probably would. I'd be fired in 2 days. Because, like, what I find funny isn't what is comfortable for the mass road.
We know your humor.
Do you?
We've had a few episodes. We know what you do.
Oh, the old abortion episode.
Yeah, we couldn't do that. I mean, I feel like...
But maybe that's the answer, man.
I feel like maybe... And this is coming from me who literally follows it. I have a book about SNL somewhere here. A gigantic book. I'm still reading.
New York.
I think I'm spoiled. I think I got spoiled by...
Like the quality?
The quality.
Yeah.
I feel like I grew up... Has something falls behind me. Everything falls
We
behind
had an actual ghost.
Oh my god. It's the ghost of Phil Hartman. I feel like...
I don't know why that cracked me up.
I don't know why. Jesus Christ, douche.
The ghost of Phil Hartman.
No, I feel like when I became aware of SNL, I was 7.
Oh,
In
7.
1990. So that was like Hartman, Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, Dennis Miller. That's how I knew Dennis Miller. I love Dennis Miller up until like 10 years ago. I found out he was like a crazy conservative.
Isn't that such a defeatist moment when you find out like your stars are like...
Love that guy. And I'm like, that was good. Hartman was great. Dana Carvey is still one of my favorites.
You still like it. I will say one thing. Dana Carvey is a really good character actor.
Yeah. Stand up, not great.
Stand up, not great, but as a character actor...
His George Bush, the father... His
church
lady.
Church
lady's
lady.
amazing.
Oh, isn't that just... What was the tagline?
Ain't that special?
Ain't that special?
Like, that was great. And then it went into, like, when I started really paying attention, like, oh my god, Christopher Robin's just falling and doing Chippendale and shit. I'm like, oh my god. And
with Sexy Pants, what's his name?
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
And then Adam Sandler with the songs and Opera Man. I'm like, oh, that was so good. And then I Love Will Ferrell. I'm like, oh my god, the cheerleaders was real good. And
do you feel like a lot of actors that came from SNL just did really long SNL sketches that became movies, like MacGruber?
Who else like that? The Ladies Man.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay, that was a sketch in SNL, which was good.
You feel like
that turned into a movie. This is bad.
this is me asking.
But then Wayne's World was good.
Wayne's World,
the first one
was good.
Actually, no. The second one might have been better than the first one. Honestly.
I don't know. I kind of cringe when I watch it now.
The second one?
The first one. I kind of like, because I've seen it so many times and it's like, nobody references it anymore. Yeah. Because it's kind of dead. And then when you actually see it, and they're like, oh, we're not worthy. It's those guys those metalheads don't exist anymore.
Milwaukee.
Yeah. The shitty Beatles. Were they good? No, they were shitty.
Well, no. I mean, I'm trying to think of all the movies he did based on was it Superstar with the Catholic schoolgirl? That wasn't good. I'm actually going to look up this real fast because I'm curious about this as you mentioned it about those movies because there's a list of those movies and it was garbage. And we're going to go through those movies real quick because I'm curious.
Do you feel like Adam Sandler has done that? Like with like Click.
I thought Adam Sandler kind of transcended the SNL stuff.
He
did so much. I just watched Uncut Gems the other night for the first time.
You ever seen Punch Drunk Love?
So good. Oh, so good.
That is
so
an amazing
good.
movie.
But Uncut Gems is like crazy.
I haven't watched it yet because I don't want to.
He was nominated for an Oscar. I'm like,
I know.
God,
I know.
So
I just hate the idea of him being good.
So here's a list of SNL movies. The Blues Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Great. The first one, not the second one. Wayne's World.
Okay.
Coneheads.
But that was
good.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was an SNL.
It's Pat, which is awful.
Okay.
Stewart Saves His Family, terrible. Blues Brothers 2000, awful. Mm-hmm. Night at the Roxbury.
I like 50-50. The Night at the Roxbury is one of my favorite movies. 50-50. Just soundtrack alone. But like also, I know guys like that. Maybe it's because I grew up in that era.
We're going to see him on my birthday probably. Oh my God.
Oh, those fucking... Are we going to Hoboken?
Jersey City, which is close enough. Actually, no, Jersey City is more hipsterish.
If you want to see guys like that, like Hoboken,
Hoboken's
East
guys.
LA.
Hey guys, what's going on?
What's going on with their chains outside of their fucking shirt? You idiot!
Just throwing up napkins like yeah. Talk about Superstar. That was awful.
Baby, don't hurt.
Ladies Man never saw. Which was on this. It was on this afternoon, which is weird. We're talking about Ladies Man, and then MacGruber.
MacGruber, like there has scenes in it that I died laughing. Like when he makes love to the song "To the Ghost,"
Yeah.
and then you just see him like from everyone else's perspective, and he's like over a headstone.
But I mean, you look at these movies and you think SNL was such a big following and such a big name, and Blues Brothers, Wayne's World. I'm looking to see budget. So budget of Blues Brothers $27 million. It made 115 million. Coneheads budget of 33 million. They made 21 million.
Look how much Wayne's World made. That is skyrocketing above everything else.
It's Pat, a budget of $8 million. It made $60,000.
Wow,
Like,
$60,000.
this is not a good track record at all.
Right, but look at that Wayne's World money.
I mean, listen, budget 27,
Call
150
it out.
million.
How much did it make? How much did Wayne's World make?
The first one, 115 million.
That
The
is.
second one, 48 million on a budget of 40. So
Right,
it's
well,
not a
sequel
drop.
is diminishing returns, right?
Yeah.
But for the first one, 20 million, and then to make 100 million on top of your budget.
But I think that's when Lauren Michaels got greedy. Because not every character on SNL deserves a fucking movie.
No,
I
I don't even think Wayne's World deserves a
I
movie,
was
but
literally
clearly I'm wrong.
like, the cheerleaders, Will Ferrell, Cheryl Terry, I was convinced they were going to get a fucking movie. And I'm like, that movie's going to suck balls if they do a cheerleader movie. And thank God they didn't.
I mean, Blades of Glory,
That wasn't, no,
close enough.
not even close.
Yeah, fair.
No, not even close.
Whatever.
Cheerleaders and figure skaters, two different things.
But they're the same thing.
You can't put it on Lauren Michaels. Don't do that to that guy. He's had a lot of time.
No one knows what it means. It's just
No one knows what it
you
means.
just get amped.
Here's my other question about SNL, and you're a newbie, so you're learning about this being a resident of this country now.
Well, I always knew it was a big thing. I didn't realize he had cancer and was on the way out.
Yeah, I mean it's on his way out because they're on year 48,
So it's got 2 more years before it gets
and
to
that's
50.
what they're saying. 50 should be it. Should they stop? That's the question now. Should we stop or should we go? Because Lauren Michaels, he said he might stop at 50 and leave anyway. Again, would you say, okay, you leave, but you have 2 years, find your protege and start the process of like, let's do it all over again with this new
I feel like it's
reimagined SNL.
Reimagine SNL. I feel like either he finds a really good protege or just swaps it up every season to give somebody else. Or maybe not. It would be funny. Well, wouldn't it be funny if, like, instead of Lauren Michaels, you had Jordan Peele for a season? You know, you kind of already has his own thing, but, like, something like
Wait,
that.
okay. Would you consider a revolving door of executive producers every year? Every season you have someone new who that's your show
right.
from September to May.
To the audience listening out there, that's exactly what I just said, but he repeated it back
No,
to me.
I'm repeating it again. So, because you go off.
I do.
I gotta bring it in. Bring it in.
Yeah, so a revolving door. Like, if, again, like, I would like
every
to see
season or every couple weeks?
No,
or
every season.
Okay.
I want the consistency. So then, at least with the first episode, if I don't like it, I know I don't like it for the rest of the season. But I would like to see, like, someone like, as I know Jordan Peele already has his video, but he's in it.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather it be something where he's not in it, and just see what he does. Or is there anyone else? Like, give me some other.
Keegan Michael Key.
Sure. Why fucking not? We have Jordan Peele.
Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller. Interesting.
Would you give it to Kenny Powers?
Yes.
I knew it.
Fuck
I
yeah.
knew it.
Yes, I would give it to
Danny
Kenny Powers.
McBride would probably be for a whole
He would
season.
slay
It was
it.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it would be so hard edged compared to what you're used to. You've seen This Is the End. You know what he did to Channing Tatum.
I feel like if you give it to Danny McBride,
That'd be so fucking.
that would make it feel like 76. It will feel like
Yeah.
an old school SNL.
Danny
season.
McBride kind of is an amalgamation of all of those people. I feel like they all jerked off into a bucket, and Danny McBride's mom just sat in it, and he came out.
Do you even have sex with any of them?
Just jerked off into
Said
a
it.
bucket. I feel like that kind of thing would save it to a certain extent, but I don't know if it would still give it the legacy. But even now, it still has a patchy legacy between all of those little gap 3 years, gap 4 years. Like, so really, what are you losing out on to give it to, like, Danny McBride for a season? To give it to fucking Trevor Noah? Just pick somebody at this point. Like, to give it to anyone who can just, like, not be in it, but just, like,
Direct it and
set the course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Here's the cast this season.
I
I haven't watched it. I think I watched it with you that one night, and that was all I watched.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to say yeah or nay on whether I like it.
Okay. Michael Che, who does Weekend Update.
Yeah.
Okay. Mikey Day, he does most of the sketches.
Okay.
He's been there.
I don't know him, so I have no opinion.
He's been there since 2016.
Okay.
Andrew Dismukes.
Who?
No idea.
Okay.
Chloe Fineman, she's pretty good.
Wow, I didn't realize how little this cast
Yeah.
I knew. I feel like an idiot now.
Heidi Gardner.
Again, I'm gone. I'm lost.
What about Punky Johnson?
Punky Johnson, related to Clokey Jackson.
Colin Jost, Weekend Update.
Again, sorry.
He does Weekend Update with Michael Che. He's the white guy on Weekend Update.
Oh, no.
Okay. Ego Iwundum.
Aha! Ego Ewundum.
Yeah, no. Kenan Thompson.
I want Keenan to do
Who's
something.
been there since 200003. He's been there 20.
He's been there that
20
long?
years? Holy shit.
Are you fucking serious?
No way. What?
He must have just had his last orange soda and went right over there.
Jesus, he's been there so long.
2003?
Yeah. Bowen Yang, he's good. He's really good.
Wait, no, hang on. Go back to
Keenan.
Go back to Keenan.
Well-
He's been there since 2003.
Keenan is trying to leave.
He's been there for 20 fucking years.
I spoke to Kenan Thompson in 2007
Why?
at my internship at a radio station in New York,
Okay.
promoting Snakes on a Plane. Yeah. So,
Was that that was a series?
huh?
Was that-
No, that was terrestrial. Right.
Okay.
So at that point, he's there 4 years, and then was like, "How long are you gonna stay?" He's like, "A few more years."
So a few more years was
Yeah.
20.
He's been trying to leave. Reportedly, he's been trying to get out, but they keep asking, "Please come back." The cast keeps turning over, and we got to keep some continuity somewhere. He seems to be the only one.
Why does content right? So this is a very American problem, right? If you've have been under a rock, you know that every movie comes out as a fucking Marvel movie, and they're all connected. Why does continuity matter to Americans so much?
I think for the show, they need people who the audience know already. They can't get a brand new cast with all these brand new faces.
I feel like if they got a brand new cast with all brand new faces, everyone had a year contract, and after that, you cannot appear on SNL again. Right now, I don't mean writers; I just mean the people on the fucking thing.
Yeah, but I think the problem becomes every year you have this revolving door.
Yeah.
So you're not the audience. And I'm talking from like the producer's point of view.
Okay.
The audience is not going to be familiar with think about a sports team, right? A sports team, you have these guys who are like, he's a Yankee for life. The fans know, okay, Derek Jeter's going to be here until he retires. He's not going anywhere. It's almost like a comfort thing.
Okay.
Right? Keenan's that comfort thing because like all these new people I don't know, I know Keenan.
I know Keenan, but
And I feel like people are going to be like, oh, Keenan's still, I'm going to check out Keenan. And Keenan's like every sketch. He's literally in every sketch now.
he is SNL.
So
right
I
now.
feel like that's what it is. They don't want him to go and be like, he's the longest tenured guy, and when he leaves, then what? We got Mikey Day.
I just like if you were just to say to me like next season of SNL is going to be a completely new cast, everyone just got wiped.
You would be interested.
I would be like, all right, I want to see it now. If you're going to say to me that Keenan is going to be there, I don't. And it's really nothing against Keenan. It's just like, all right, he's been there 20 years. Like,
Especially
I know.
when he doesn't have anyone else who's been there as long as him. So if it was like him and Kate McKinnon, I'm like, okay, you have two solid leads. Okay, cool, let's go with that. It's just him and that's it.
That's so weird because like he literally must have just left Keenan and Kel and went Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, there's a couple years in between, but yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He left Keenan and Kel and was like, all right, you got hired.
Keenan and
Had
Kel.
like he wasn't like a play like a feature. He's a feature player, so he wasn't like cast. He was like feature players like these people. Marcello Hernandez, James Austin Johnson, who does Donald Trump now, is really good. Molly Kearney, Michael Longfellow, Sarah Sherman, Devin Walker.
I feel like so here's a weird fact. Keenan and Kel, huge in Ireland when it happened.
Really?
Huge. Oh, who loves Orange and Kel loves Orange? Every fucking
Was it-
day.
okay, was
Saturday Night
it-
Live still not present.
Was it that entire lineup of Nickelodeon at the time? Or was it just Keenan and Kel?
Keenan and Kel, sister?
Sister was not. It was like that. Clarissa Explains It All with Melissa Joan Hart.
Yeah.
Are You Afraid of the Dark, which is like a scary.
Yeah.
All that,
All that.
which is
I
like
don't
the
remember.
kid SNL.
I don't.
That's where
remember
Keenan and
all
Kel started on all that, which is like the Nickelodeon
that.
Saturday Night
Well,
Live.
it must have been. That.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
It's
And
just strange like, that
SNL
got
still
there,
no,
but SNL
nothing.
not there. That's weird.
fucking weird.
I wonder like how many other countries does it actually go to?
SNL?
Yeah.
Let's check. I saw something
Oh, if
before.
it says Ireland on it, I'm going to be like, what?
No, Ireland was on it when I looked at it quick. It's Brazil,
That makes sense.
Canada, China,
Yeah.
France, yeah, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Poland, Russia, not for long, South Korea, Spain, Finland, Egypt,
Wow. And we still can't get it, but
Nope,
fucking
still-
China get it?
and Egypt.
I just love to see, like, does anyone watch it in China? American expats?
Probably. That's probably why they have it. It's only been there since, I don't know, these are not valid anymore.
Okay.
This is all like
Well, Russia and China
for a
are
season
not.
or 2 seasons. That was really it.
Let's say Russia and China are not in there anymore because we all ain't friends no more.
No, we're not. Ratings. I'm curious about the ratings too because it's so 6-4, 7-9, 9-8, 13, 13, 9-8. This is from the beginning. 7-7, 7-7, 8-7, 8-7, 8-9.
All right, Neo, relax.
8-7, 5-6, 6-6, 6-6, 5-5, 5-4, 4-4, 5-5.
I feel like Tom Cruise in Rayman.
I'm just reading ratings. I'm showing you.
What
it
does
is
that
right
mean?
now.
I don't know what any
You
of
know
that shit
ratings?
No,
Okay,
it's
so
out of what?
The ratings are the amount of people watching your show.
So what does 7.55 mean?
7.5 is, and I'll tell you now, that's overall rating. You can't see my computer because you're looking.
I'm looking at it upside down, but I'm still like.
So
it's
you have the ratings go by people. Like you have an 8 share. I mean, there's 8 people out of 100 watching your show, or whatever formula they use now. But on the other side, they have the millions of people watching the show. So at this point, it's dropped from 11 million people in 2016, 2017, down to 9.
All right.
Now it's 2021.
So that's what that 9.00 means.
Yeah.
9 minutes.
Yeah.
Chris said
So,
that.
well, we gotta go through.
Listen,
all
Rain Man.
We gotta go through all the years. We can't just it's 9 right now, but it was. We gotta. It's what's the word I'm looking for? We gotta go through whatever fucking word I can't think of right now.
You can't do that word.
So overall, who was the best cast member
Oh, that's hard.
of Saturday Night Live to you? Based on your obviously your knowledge is limited,
My knowledge is a lot more limited
but
than what yours
based
is.
on what you know, I already have an idea who you're gonna say already. So
Do you?
yeah,
I really don't. I'm kind of like throwing everyone out. Oh, you expect me to say Eddie Murphy?
yes,
I mean, yeah, but I don't want to pick Eddie Murphy because everyone thinks I'm going to say that. I want to say probably the most varied and most kind of like what I feel like multi-talented and like also a very good actor. Surprisingly, it was like Dana Carvey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he had the best sketches there, but like he had the most consistently funny ones compared to Steve Martin.
yeah.
You know, like where it was kind of like, yeah, this isn't really for me. Or Chevy Chase, which I just never found funny. John Belushi and Bill Murray,
I
right?
thought Bill Murray didn't do a whole lot.
I
I thought
think-
he would pop in and out.
Yeah, Bill
But
Murray
was
didn't do a
consistent.
whole lot in his whole career, so you know what are you going to do? That's just the kind of guy he is. It's difficult because I feel like there's a lot of names that came out of there, but when people say like, "Who makes you laugh?" it probably is just Eddie Murphy.
Really?
Like I feel like out of the whole lineup, like Chris Farley was hilarious at the first time he did it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, on the fucking tank go around, it wasn't that funny, and then after that he was a more bloated corpse. You know, blotting out the fucking song.
First the Phil Hartman thing, and now
I just laughed when you said it was when I said it was a ghost. You said it's a ghost of Phil Hartman. That was funny. This is just horrific.
this is bad.
You know, poor Adam Sandler is crying again.
Yeah.
Listen to this. Sandler, funny.
Pick one.
I can't.
You didn't pick one. You've gone through like 10
I
names.
have gone through 10 names. I want to just pick someone who's not on.
You should pick someone who's not named Eddie Murphy to go against me saying you don't pick Eddie Murphy.
No, I'm going to say Eddie Murphy. Like, if I, like, what sketch will make me laugh? Fucking him as Stevie Wonder with, who's the other guy?
Joe Piscopo.
Joe Piscopo saying, "You're black and I'm white and
You're
it's
black
okay.
as a bat, then I have some.
You're black and I'm white and who cares?"
Honestly, to that actually question, and I don't have an answer.
It's a hard one.
Because it's 48 years. I start following it like
Shit.
20 in. So I'm like,
I've known about it for the last 10 years, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, like it's hard.
I love Phil Hartman, but Phil Hartman was a different type of guy. It was a different cat. It was a different time.
You Hartman.
I heart Hartman. I think Phil Hartman, every character, caveman lawyer, he played a great Bill Clinton. The music executive when Dana Carvey sang Chopping Broccoli.
Chopping
And his
broccoli.
he didn't even say anything. His face just like, yeah.
And Sigourney Weaver looking like she just woke up.
So I think Phil Hartman's probably my pick is like the funniest. And I think Will Ferrell's a close second for me. I know you hate him.
It's just that kind of comedy. I just don't get it.
Robert Goulet, when he was singing Biggie, I showed you when he drops the N-bomb, and I'm like, what? 14-year-old me is like, did you just say the N-word? Like, that's different. Okay. Chelsea hates it.
because of the N-bomb.
Yep.
So that's a white woman, by the way.
Yeah. She's not a fan. Not a fan of that N-word. On that note,
I'm just melting racial slurs.
so that was our Saturday Night Live episode. Hopefully you learned something from this.
I feel like it did, but it was weird because it feels like you're talking about a terminal patient. Like it's not going to come back.
It's something crazy would have to happen for it to like regain something. I feel like something's been missing for like
the heart and soul.
probably since I think Hader left. Since
I think it was mid-Hader.
who was
That's
the
when
other,
it started to get
who
really
was the
under
other
my
guy
skin.
that who's the other guy that left from Horrible Bosses?
From Horrible Bosses.
Yeah, not Charlie, not Jason Bateman.
I was supposed to say it was
What's
Jason
his
Bateman
name?
on it.
I can't remember his name. When he left and Bill Hader left, I feel like something got lost because they did everything. And then McKinnon left, and McKinnon was kind of annoying and not great. She has some like gems, like Target Lady was great, but even then it's like, I feel like once Hader left, I feel like that's when the show went on.
I feel like, do you know what you say a lot of this, those sketches are, it's funny, but I feel like the last bunch of seasons, that's exactly how I feel.
Jason Sudeikis, that's the one I was thinking about.
Is he related to?
No, probably not.
I was just about
Nope.
let's
Nope.
not make that
Nope. Gonna stop you there. Cut it down. But I think it's. I wouldn't say it's terminal. I think there's some experimental drugs that can be taken to help it.
I mean, you really need to start the chemo now.
Yeah.
It can't wait until he's 50.
But if it goes into year 50 and they say, okay, we're gonna cut it, I wouldn't be mad.
If they cut it now, I would be like,
I feel like 48's a weird number.
it's a weird number to end it on.
Yeah.
But like, here's the other side. The only reason they wait until 50 is because it's a good number to end it on. But it's like, it's still shit now.
Yeah, really.
And it's probably going to be shit then. So
I got a text from the person who hacked my Instagram asking if I want it back.
oh, can I send him a dick pic?
Probably not.
This is going to be really funny because you're a black guy and they get this white dick pic.
What? Who is this? So we're gonna deal with that now. We're gonna deal with that tonight.
Can I video call him and be like, what's that guy in the Hannibal Lecter movie? Goodbye, hearts. Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill.
I'm just going to video record him
Hey.
as Buffalo Bill. Tweak my nipple.
Put the lotion in the basket.
Put the lotion in the basket!
All right, we're gonna stop here because we're totally going off right now.
Yeah, I'm fucking...
All right, so next episode we'll figure out. I think we'll surprise you.
Let's make a plan here.
Let's make a plan.
Right, so I personally want to do Jim Norton. So give me someone I don't want to do. And don't say Sebastian Maniscalco.
That was the one I was gonna go with. All right,
We'll do Maniscalco if you want. Do you want to do Maniscalco?
yes.
All right.
Next
Maniscalco.
episode, Live Free, Laugh Hard, Sebastian Maniscalco, which should be a great episode. And you see my little Irish friend here get really pissed off.
I'm kind of over it.
No, you're not. He has a movie with De Niro coming out about his dad.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Here we go. Yeah.
Why? Wait, he's a movie with De Niro.
De Niro's playing his father.
You know
It's
what?
like based on a true story.
De Niro will do fucking anything. He is broke as... He's Robert No De Niro. And I've lost a lot of respect for you right now, Mr. De Niro.
All right, so we're gonna preview Sebastian Maniscalco's new movie with Robert De Niro.
At fucking Tribeca? Is it at Tribeca?
I don't know. Is it?
Is it fucking De Niro?
We'll talk about it next episode.
Fucking...
Thanks for listening. Bye.